What's up, comic and pop culture fans? This is James with Mint Hunter Comics, and today I'm asking a pretty important question. After this last year and a half of prices skyrocketing, is collecting still fun? Make sure you guys are subscribed, like this video, and comment down below. I am happy to announce the 12,000 subscriber giveaway will be a PlayStation 5. The 10,000 subscriber giveaway is coming up real soon, and it's the complete set of Death in the Family. That's right, here on Mint Hunter Comics, we do not shy away from asking the big, important questions. Like, are you guys still having fun? Every aspect of collecting from the past 2 years, whether it be statues, whether it be slabbed comics, whether it be raw comics. Actually, I think graphic novels, pretty much the same. Good for graphic novels. But for the most part, pretty much every aspect of collecting has gotten into the astronomical levels, especially if you compare it to prices just 2 or 3 years ago. I'm going to give you an example. Alright guys, Batman 436. First appearance of Tim Drake, and also just all-around phenomenal Batman story. But what if I told you that when I got this in the summer of 2017, so we're not even talking like 2001 or 2010 or something, this is like 4 years ago. This was listed on eBay for $100 with $15 shipping. And I wrestled with getting this book for the longest time. In 2017, even though it was a somewhat notable key, I couldn't wrap my head around spending over $100. $115, maybe $120 with tax. I took weeks on it. I sat on this, and that's very indicative of the market back then. This sat for $100 and didn't budge. No one else grabbed it up. I finally pulled the trigger. And I'm glad I did, because right now, this is declared 9.8 of this book. It's $500. And I think that that's ridiculous. I really do. I mean, it's a great book. I think it's a valuable book, but we seem to just be artificially putting astronomical prices on everything. This is a book that it took me probably 8 weeks of mulling over to decide, am I finally going to make that jump? And I finally decided to buy it. And it's just crazy to me, thinking about and remembering how much thought and carefulness I put into deciding whether I was actually going to pick this up or not. And now, silly little non-keys are being placed at $100 on eBay. Little nothing books are going up for $100, $80, maybe $70 minimum. I mean, it's crazy out there. There's books that I remember being $200 that are now in the $1,000 range. Also, look at this example. Give me another second. First appearance of Deathstroke and a cameo from Trigon. You know what this went for in 2017? $450? Yeah, honestly. And you know what it goes for now? I think it's at like $1,300 or $1,400. So this is a $400 book that's now $1,000 more. This was a $100 book that's now $500. Most of us in the community even recognize that, hey, these prices are getting out of hand. Some of these now $1,000 books really have no business being $1,000. Are you kidding me? Some of these $300 books should be like $80. That's the nature of a market, guys. Supply and demand, and clearly the demand is at its all-time high. We've got comic book movies of like D-grade villains and heroes popping up on the big screen. It's an exciting time to be a fan. And notice how I'm not saying anything about reading, because reading's still fun as it always was, right? Yeah, comics are like $5 a pop now. That kind of stinks, and that's only going to go up. But what are you going to do? It's still somewhat manageable, and there's a million YouTube channels designated to where you can do a review and check out a comic book without having to pay. So, reading is still fun, and frankly, I think some of the stories coming out now are fantastic. I really do think it's a great age for comics. Some people disagree. I think it's really good, especially indie stuff. But the collecting side of things, What you once could do with $500, which could maybe get you like 5 small keys, maybe only gets you 1 now. I think I can count on one hand the amount of books that I know that have actually stayed exactly the same or gone down since 2017. For whatever reason, everything seems to have shot up 3 to 4 times the price. And some of you are already starting to type in the comments, blah, 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 CGC, CBCS, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's not exclusive to that. It's with the Raws too. I'll give you an example. Got got 2 copies rather of Amazing Spider-Man 252. Got it from my local comic book shop, not eBay, nothing crazy. $50, not for both, but for $50 a pop, so $100 total. 2 copies of ASM 252 newsstand, first black suit. Now you want a good laugh? Here's what they go for raw right now. Oh man! Ended up submitting it to CGC. One of them got a 9.6, the other one got the perfect 9.8. Now, I sold the 9.6 in a newsstand just 2 years ago, maybe even less, before that book got crazy. Sold it for $250. You want to know what that's worth now? Just the 9.6 newsstand goes for well over $500. And then that 9.8, that's worth, geez, I think it's, last time I checked, it popped over $3,000. Guys, a 1984 highly, highly popular book with many 9.8s on the CGC census has no business being that expensive. I truly don't believe that it does. Especially though, for years, I know that book. I know that book. I had my eyes on it for years. It hovered around the 400. The highest you saw it jumped to 600. All of a sudden we blink and it's over $3,000. What's going on? Obviously there's various theories on why everything is skyrocketed. Perhaps too much stimulus checks, some overuse of unemployment funds from the government. That's very possible. But clearly, the effect that it's had has just boosted everything. And the reality is, collecting isn't what it was. As you can see, I'm massively into the statue collecting. And I don't think, if I started in 2021, I don't think I could have done it now. I remember I got my first statue, just so you guys, if you don't know, a lot of these quarter scale statues, 5-6 years ago, they were around the $400 range. Now, especially when you go custom, it's anywhere from about $700 all the way to like $2,000 for a statue. That's just another thing that shot up 3 times the value. It's not what it once was. And I think it's past the point where it obtained some healthy growth and has just verged into a little bit of the absurd. It's still so fun to collect these keys and, all that stuff. I personally really like collecting nice copies of the same books I had as a child. That's really cool for me. But I'll be honest when I say that a lot of how I collect is frankly different now. Because of these crazy prices, I've been forced to kind of look into collecting more of the keys rather than caring about the lesser books. Because frankly, I'm worried that if I don't collect these keys, who knows, some $200 book will wind up at $2,000 in a few months. Just like this sleeper hit book, The First Appearance of Mongol, used to be a $250 9.8. Now it's going for just under $3,000. It happened with ASM 252. It's happening all over the place, especially with Marvel books. I worry that it's become a rich man's game, to be quite honest. And their kids can't collect anymore unless you got some rich parents or rich uncles or something. Before, you used to get hand-me-downs. You used to get a box of comics for free after they've been totally read. You could go to the store and get some key for $5-10. Well, that is just not a reality anymore. Even to get reader copies, beat to crap copies of books that you just want to read, you're probably not even going to be paying $1 from dollar bins anymore. Part of me is very thankful that I started collecting when I did, but I want to make sure that the future is bright for other collectors out there. I think the best route for collectors, to be frank, is probably go the graphic novel route, to be honest. It's a set price. Yeah, it might be a little bit tall, but you can read this a million times over, I'm sure I've read half of this stuff at least several times. You know, it's not the original copy. I don't mind popping into the book. It doesn't matter. It seems to be just about what ridiculous price can we tack on here and hope that it sticks. And all it takes is for a couple people to just go ahead and buy it. And suddenly that's the new standard for that book. That's the new price. And I think it's too bad. You know how when you watch a movie, you should ask yourself, what did I learn? What did I enjoy? How did it make me feel? Just like with movies, you should reevaluate how you feel about your collection. What am I learning? How am I feeling? How's my wallet feeling? Most importantly, am I still having fun? I find myself getting my most enjoyment, to be honest, going on like Comic Storium and other YouTube channels that do full dive and full reviews and play-alongs to other various comic books. And even though it's not collecting, it's more like reading, that's a lot of my source of entertainment for this hobby, to be honest. A lot for me, one thing that is particularly fun and enjoyable is finding these keys in the wild at yard sales. I've made a little bit of a name for myself as the flea market finder here, you know. That's really fun. That'll never not be fun. It's getting fewer and farther between to find them, but it's still very fun. Fun part about that is I've taught myself how to clean and press comics accordingly. That's been a lot of fun. Turning a high-grade comic into a higher-grade comic. I mean, that's just a blast. There are avenues in which I think, me personally, that collecting is still really fun. But unfortunately, because I'm not a millionaire, you don't see me with the ASM, Amazing Fantasy, 15. I don't think I'm really ever going to have those really big boy books. I mean, never say never, right? But what was once obtainable is just getting farther and farther out of reach. And it's kind of becoming like a 1%er hobby, I think, I'm afraid to say. So a lot of people in the community feel compelled to submit comics themselves. To be quite honest, if you've got a copy of the first appearance of Gambit and it looks decent, it's better to submit that than to try to get the slabbed version, because the slab version is decently into the $1,000 range right now. Again, that's another 2017 book that was like 500 maybe. I rarely buy slabs. I usually find comics, press them, and send them myself because frankly, I can't afford to buy these comics at these prices. Sometimes you just gotta dig in your heels and say, I'm not paying that. I've been wanting to make this video and talk about this for a while now because it's been on all of our minds. When is enough enough, Yeah, I suppose it's a good time to sell comics. You're probably making double what you got if you got this comic a few years ago. But for buying, oh, geez. Man, what are your options? Well, you could train yourself and get a job that pays more money. You could rebudget and not have to collect as much as you were hoping you would collect, or you find different ways to enjoy yourself with this. I love this hobby and I love its people, but I don't love these prices. And unfortunately, I think these things might have a tendency to go up. Some of it might go down, but for the most part, some of these prices seem to be stuck. I feel like this has been on the tip of everybody's tongue. Everybody's just been watching these prices get out of hand. Pretty much every single book that I know has at least doubled, if not tripled in value. I keep saying 2017, that's 4 years ago. How about just from 2 years ago? Name a book down below that hasn't shot up from 4 years ago. I am definitely curious. I think you're going to have a hard time finding it. And again, things will naturally increase. Time goes on, things will cost more money, the rarity goes up, whatever have you. But this isn't natural. This isn't that natural growth. This is absolute insanity. How do you guys ensure that you're still having fun? What collection do you target to make sure you still get enjoyment out of it? Or are you on the train of still trying to find those major keys, and suddenly you notice that you're spending more than you thought, and you don't really have any spending money on anything else? Let me know down in the comments, guys. Let's have a discussion. I think it's important to talk about. I'll try to reply to as many comments as I can, because this is a topic that's been pretty important to me, and I know it's something I talk about casually, with my friends all the time, but I don't usually talk about it in front of the camera here. Well, I think it's time we talk about it in front of the camera. These prices are freaking redonkulous. So, let me know what you think down below. Is it going to get better? Or are we going to adapt? Keep on hunting.